Now, how would you rate the country's response so far to this disease?
The country's response has been so good, because a lot of things have been put in place, a lot of things have been done by the Nigerian government, and it's quite impressive. From my assessment, it's good.
Well, there are those who have their doubts. There are those who have been saying that, you know, perhaps before now we should have shut down the airports before now, considering the fact that we have a burden of, well, the burden that we have of those who are coming into the country. Would you agree with them?
I totally do not agree with them, because when you look at it, before FCT was involved, majority of the cases were from Lagos. Before last week, when FCT started recording some cases. You don't just shut down a system without having enough reason for doing that. This time of shutting down is very appropriate in that when we look at the cases, we have an increase. For any epidemic that comes in, the initial stage, you take action. And as you are having more cases, then you now take drastic action. Shutting down the system is the last option that we need to take. And even then, it should be gradual, not just abrupt shutting down that will now create problem. Because at the end of the day, you are trying to prevent many people from coming down with the disease. Many people are going to die of hunger, of so many things that you don't even envisage. So I think this is the right time for Nigeria to take such action.
What do you say of those who are calling for a containment? The disease has not been reported in all states of the Federation as we speak,
Yes.
Even though some will argue that maybe it's because we haven't really tested those presenting the symptoms. But for those who are saying perhaps we should have a policy of containment, that where it has been reported, maybe we should find a way to ensure that it stays there. How do you respond to that?
In our country, Nigeria, where you have so high mobility, it's not too difficult, but at times it's difficult. Before now, it was only like Lagos and Ekiti that will have such cases. Regulating people's movement is one of the difficult things when you don't shut down the system, right? Containment is, you can say, okay, Lagos, I don't know how we're going to say people should not move from Lagos to other neighboring states. Ekiti, the same thing. It's quite a difficult problem. When you look at it, the cases are coming from where you have international airport, basically, with a lot of inflow and services. So this period containing the virus spread is very difficult. People might just be saying things like that. It is not the way it comes.
But it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but there are so many things to put in place. When you look at other countries that have done that, right, their system works very well. We are still growing in terms of economy. We are still growing in terms of facilities. So what do we have in place to start checking that? It's quite difficult. Even as we are going to shut down, it's not going to be easy. We've been having a series of meetings discussing what are the modalities that can be put in place so that people will not suffer. We clamor for all this, but when we look at it, what is the complication or the implication of doing that? A lot of complications are going to come up, and it has its own implication anyway.
In the event of that, I mean, in the event that people do get ill, and some people are already ill,
Yes.
do we have sufficient equipment in the country, ventilators and, you know, all the other equipment that people will need in the hospitals? And do we have a motivated workforce who are willing to tackle this disease as it's currently, you know, spreads in the country?
Yes, when we talk about equipment, we might not be that sufficient. We don't have enough per se, but we'll have something that will keep the system running. Keep the system. What we are talking about, that's why we are going round the whole country, round many states. We are advising many states to keep on talking to people about the signs and symptoms of this disease so that the early diagnosis and prompt treatment remains the mainstay. You don't have to wait for there to be complication or the patient to go into crisis before notifying the authority. A lot of people are still not aware of the signs and symptoms of this COVID-19. Some people still do not believe. Just as I had a woman saying that it cannot come into Bayelsa or their states. We can imagine such attitude. Our attitude have to change towards information. When we get information, let's share the correct information, and people should listen and do the needful.
Oh, Dr. Josephine Okechukwu, thank you for coming on the News at 10 tonight. Well, she's the head of public health in the Federal Capital Territory.